Graham, what are we doing in California?
It's an amazing story of an amazing person.
I'd work out and I'd play music.
Where did you go?
And he's like, hey, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do with your time?
And I believe it was 6 months ago when I heard you closed that business. What happened there?
I could stay in the business and I could help increase the value.
I feel like I am living in a movie right now. I'm in San Diego, California, and it is a movie. It's an amazing story of an amazing person. If you're the business owner, I want you to watch it all the way to the end because I guarantee you, you will pick one or two things. I have interviewed this guy 4 times, more than anyone. He's been friend of Roofing Insights for over 5 years now, and yet I have more questions than ever. 3 years ago, I have visited his company, $5 million office in Kansas City, and a year later, I interviewed him and he told me he's going to be in 48 states. He spent $25,000 to rebrand his company. Yet, about 6 months ago, I have learned that he have closed that location. How do you move from Kansas City to San Diego, California? He didn't have relatives. He just, to my knowledge, he picked the city for the lifestyle, for whatever the reasons were. We're about to find out. He's a man of God. He's my CrossFit brother from another mother. His name is Graham Desert. His roofing brand used to be Roofing101. And man, oh man, I have a lot of questions to him. So we're driving right now to the man himself, Graham Desert, here in San Diego, California. Let's find out.
Graham, what are we doing in California? Like, this is beautiful. I'm jealous. We were driving by, beautiful area, beautiful house, everything green, sky is blue. What brought you to California?
Well, we moved to California because this is essentially where, my wife always wanted to move back here. And
Did you have relatives here?
I have a sister that lives here, and that's it. Really, nobody that we know.
So you had a roofing business in Kansas and Kansas City.
Yeah, and we were doing great. Kansas City, the business was in a very good position. We were very comfortable,
So what made you to pick up and go?
We just decided it was time to leave. It was like.
By the way, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I've been at his office, and it's a shithole. There's nothing to do there. Like, there's nothing. I stay in a hotel. I'm like, where I'm going to eat tonight? It was like it's a Midwest. It's nothing.
Yeah.
And to go from there to here.
Yeah.
So what was the main driver?
Well, the main driver was we literally wanted to change the scenery. Like we figured, the way we looked at it, we're like, well, we want to, we have 5 kids, and at that point we're like, our kids are young, and we were like, well, at some point we're gonna move, let's wait until the kids are older to move.
How was that transformation? Because California is expensive, taxes, all of that.
Yeah.
How did you acclimate to all of that?
Well, it's an increased cost of living by like 15%, 10 or 15%.
That's it?
Our expenses went up. Some expenses go down. We don't travel as much. Like, why do you need to go on vacation when you live here? So there's things that kind of balance out, but there are things that are more expensive, like gas and food and rent,
So for those of you who don't know, who for the first time introduced to Graham, even CrossFit magazines and publications have actually talked about this guy. He's famous for doing, Murph, 365 days in a row. You've done more than that.
Yeah, I did 366.
366. So every single day he was running a mile, doing 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, and 100 mile in a 20-pound vest.
Yeah, this guy right
here. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna. I want to challenge you. We need to do something for time, maybe like 50 calorie. What do you think you can do for 50 calorie for time?
For time on that?
Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea.
50 calories, just.
I have no idea.
Would
Like,
you do-
I think I could probably do 10 calories takes me, I mean, definitely gonna be a couple minutes.
For 10 calories?
10 calories takes like, 15 seconds maybe, 15 to 20 seconds.
So let's do this. 50 calorie for time, and we can even throw a rower there. We can do some damage.
Yeah, we can do some damage.
How did you end up managing your company from California?
Well, I had a management team in place.
Okay.
So I had a GM, had a sales manager, had a controller, so all the management was in place.
So you were
before we
just
left.
doing it remotely?
Correct, yeah.
And I believe it was 6 months ago when I heard you closed that business.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yep.
happened there?
Yeah, so this is, and I haven't really talked about this at all.
Mhm.
And it's been tough for me to deal with because, it closed. It didn't do well.
Is it because of your remote distance, because you were not there present, or something else happened?
Oh yeah, great question. And so first off, let me just explain. So number one, the company was doing about $5-6 million consistently before I left. Okay. Once I left, revenue dropped about $1 million, and then it consistently started to drop, and then it basically plateaued for a bit. I had managers leave, so I had management people leave. I brought on partners. We expanded into multiple locations, and things it wasn't profitable. Then moving into and listen, the timeline on all these events just isn't, I'm just spitting out what's there. So brought on partners, we expanded. Things were actually going really well. I sold property, reinvested money back into the business, and basically, it's a classic story of an entrepreneur. Things go well, and you create a model, and you want to multiply and duplicate that model. So then I brought in a partner whose experience was in franchising, experience was in leadership, and multiplying, recruiting, all that kind of stuff. Then we brought on another partner who is really good at operating, brought on another partner who's good at operating. So then we have this executive team, and we start to recruit and expand and develop systems, and reinvesting money, borrowing money, like I was borrowing a ton of money. So here we are, like myself personally, sold all my assets, and I'm like over $1 million in debt going into 2020.
Wow.
And then the pandemic hits, and we had, I think, like it was probably close to 60 employees here in California. And
Is it location, or is it corporate employees overseeing other locations?
these were W-2. So it would be hard for me to explain without drawing on a whiteboard.
Sure.
To show you what the
So they were W-2 employees.
These were W-2 employees. And
Wow.
so in 2019 it was 1099. Well, then we switched to W-2 because of what was going on with Uber and Lyft and some of the other companies that were getting cracked down on. So we decided to switch everybody to W-2. In 2019, that's where we went through a large expansion, and our focus was recruiting and building systems and expanding. And so we did that. We got all of our systems in place, and in 2020, we, at the beginning of the year, the first quarter, we started to have success and started to see profit, and then the pandemic hit. And here in California, roofing is,
Essential.
it's essential, and you can continue to roof, but the solar business basically just nosedived. So all the employees quit. They went on unemployment and took the benefit. And, they made the justification of, the benefit isn't quite what I was getting paid, but it's enough for me to not do anything.
Sure.
And not work. And so we invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in, recruiting and training and hiring and payroll and all that kind of stuff for that cycle of employees to just quit. And
wow.
It cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so that on top of the debt that, I was in, basically just folded.
So did you close it? Did you sell? Did you sell out your portion? Or is company still in business in some locations, I understand?
Yeah, we're still in business in some locations. Well, they are. I'm not part of the company anymore and haven't been for about 5 months. But 2019, I was sitting down with one of my mentors, and, he was pressing me on vision. And he's like, hey, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do with your time? And he's like, I'm not talking about a few $1 million, I'm talking about billions. So if you had billions of dollars, what would you do with your time? Because we all know, like, if you had billions of dollars, you'd spend a little bit of time, doing whatever you want to do for a little bit. And then when all that's done, it's like, well, what do? You don't have to worry about financial stress or going out and earning.
Sure.
So what would you do with your time? And immediately my first thought was, well, I wouldn't be in my roofing company, and I'd work out and I'd play music, and I'd develop leaders along the way.
I want to ask this question to our audience. Comment below, what would you do if you had how much money? Like $1 billion. If you don't have to work for money, $1 billion, you could do anything you want. What would you do? Would you still do what you do now? Great question.
Yeah, so I took that to heart. I'm like, man, so I'm not living a authentic life. I'm not truly doing what.
I want to kind of like push back a little bit on it, because there's a lot of people, I also don't want to send the wrong message. I appreciate authentic life. Like, I want to live one too, but playing the guitar or doing, fun stuff does not always pay the bills. Like, I believe that humans also should produce something.
Sure.
We should. I mean, you can't just go in like, okay, I'm gonna be, I don't know, like I want to be a painter.
Yeah.
And you start painting, but who's gonna pay your bills and move back to your parents' basement? We also have that category of people. So the question is, what was the plan to pay your bills?
Yeah, figure out a way to monetize it.
Okay, I see. Fair enough.
Yeah. So
music. What else?
Music, training, developing leaders. Those were the 3 things that I came up with. And
Love
developing leaders could be like a broad thing, like you can do that in a roofing company. Sure. You could do that, I don't know, working whatever W-2 job.
Just monetize whatever hobby you have.
Yeah, whatever you're passionate about and what energizes you is what you.
And that's absolutely the beauty of living in 2021. We have one of the best times to be alive, where you can take your phone. I love YouTube original. I don't know if they still have the original slogan, broadcast yourself. You can take this little device and broadcast your idea to the world and become something. Doesn't matter what it is. You can open a bike repair shop, create a TikTok and teach people how to fix bikes if that's what you want to do, and people will follow you.
Right.
What's next? Like 5 months ago, you sold your business, you're sharing business. Where are you at today?
Well, I started an LLC last year called Leaders Next Door. Okay. And within that, it's a program to develop leaders out of kids, ages like 10 to 17. So within that program, and how it happened was, we have this shutdown. My kids aren't in school and they're sitting around in the living room like, well, this isn't gonna fly for, very long. So what can we do? And so I taught them how to wash cars, and then I taught them how to knock doors, taught them how to, make money, and that's the whole point of Leaders Next Door is teach kids how to make money in the neighborhood, and then once they make the money, show them what to do with it. And
I think the second part is more important than the first one.
Exactly. I mean, they need to learn how to make money. That's one thing. There's so many different ways.
They can go to grandparents.
Right.
Ask for $100.
Right. exactly. And so what you do with the money is the important thing. And then along the way, you teach them leadership because it's a great opportunity to define what leadership is for kids while they're young. So that's what the program focuses on. So I've been working on that.
I sold 2 businesses as well, and I have to ask this question: do you ever feel like a failure that you failed in your business? Could finish better than I did. Like you said it, like you didn't sell it for what you ideally wanted because it wasn't profitable. Do you feel like a failure? Do you feel like you could have a better strategy at the end, or you could not control it?
And here's the thing. I could stay in the business and I could help increase the value. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I could wait 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now, when it's extremely profitable and they're doing really, really well. But that wasn't the point of exiting. The point of exiting was it was a clear message that I needed to exit to do what my life purpose was. So,
how did it change your life, like moving forward? Does your wife work?
She does not.
Stay-home mom?
Mm-hmm.
So how did it fix? I mean, you already were living in California. Mm-hmm. Some would argue you already have the dream life.
Yeah.
Run a business, run it remotely.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have the dream life. Yeah. Like
do you have
extremely fortunate.
What do you have now? Dream life 2.0?
2.0. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how can you describe what you have now?
Well, here's the benefit. So, something that I was struggling with was, I didn't exit, with the best financial terms. It wasn't, and the business wasn't in the best of condition, and, there's a lot of issues and things like that happened. So I didn't like that. And I struggle with the fact that, like, I'm not actually working right now. So there's a struggle with feeling productive, But at the same time, there's things that I haven't been paying attention to, through my time of being a business owner, like things that I missed and things that I wouldn't pick up on, So now I'm around my children more, which is probably the biggest thing, and really in a time when it's really important to be around them. Two of my kids are teenagers. One of them's 12 and one of them's 7. And then I have another one who just had just had her first child. So I'm a grandpa now, so
nice.
Really yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Graham.
Yeah. So that's one thing, that, for me, it just opened my eyes. Like, there's so much that I missed. And so now this second time around, in getting back into business or whatever I decide to pursue, I'm able to focus on my family more than I did in the past.
Love it. For our audience, I have to ask this question. You said something earlier that your business was not profitable as profitable as it used to be. And I hear a lot of this talk. It's almost like trending talk in the roofing industry now, that the roofing is not used to be profit-wise, too many players, stuff like that. Can you explain to younger generation, like if someone just started up a roofing company, obviously, I think both me and you lost the fire. We may burn out or find out like that's not what we want to do, but there's a lot of people out there who wants to run a business. Mm-hmm. Maybe that installer who's like, I'm not going to install anymore, I'm going to run a business, or I'm not going to subcontract, I'm going to run a business. Can you explain to people how can $3-4 million business cannot be profitable, one, and mainly, is there still money in the roofing business, and what advice would you give to the startup who's starting a business right now? Yeah. Is there still money in the roofing business, and what advice would you give them?
Oh yeah, there definitely is. Yeah, like the roofing business is definitely a profitable business.
So it's not declining. It's not like
I don't think
you would not say like there's no money in the roofing business. That's why I left. That's
absolutely not. Yeah, like I've left the roofing business because it's not my lane.
Got it.
It's not the lane that I'm supposed to be in. Just because I'm good at it doesn't necessarily mean that's my lane.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well said.
So,
what advice would you give to someone who's just starting up?
Oh shoot, I would focus on gross margin. And
not net.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you want to focus on net, but you focus on gross margin because, and what I call it is pre-job costing. So pre-job costing would be when you're selling it, and this is how you set prices. So it depends on if you're retail or insurance. Insurance, it's not that you don't set the prices, you're relying more on Xactimate and insurance companies to pay your supplements. So if you're in retail, you have to do pre-job costing, which essentially is walking through, you take, what I would do is take an eagle view, take your price list, and literally dissect the job and how much material and how much labor it's going to cost to actually produce it, and then figure out what margin you want to make on the job, whether it's 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, whatever the margin is.
What's good profit, gross profit margin? 40?
45 to 50.
45, 50, okay.
Yep, and that's completely 100% realistic. Once you get to a certain volume, you have negotiating power with suppliers to where you can get better pricing.
Sure.
You know.
What's the good profit, net profit, and what's the best you've seen?
Net profit, it depends on how big you are and what your overhead structure is. So the reason why we weren't profitable at 3 to 4 mil was because we had a higher overhead structure. We had trucks, we had salaries, we had multiple layers of management. We hired consultants. We had all this overhead that tied into that. So low overhead, I would say, would be like 8%. When you start getting into the 8% range and you're not over the 10 to 12 million mark, you're going to struggle financially. If you're in the 3 to 4 million range, you want to be anywhere between 15 to 20% in that.
Love it. Last question. How's the Roofing 101 doing now? Do you feel pride for the company? Do you feel like it's your baby that you built, or you don't want to be associated with it?
I think they're doing great. And what I mean by that is, in fact, the COO was just here yesterday. So we met for lunch. I was asking him how it was going, and he said sales are slower, but profitability is better. And there's a lot of things that they've worked on to actually make the business run better, which, when I was there, operationally it was tough. I wasn't involved in operations, but operationally I was struggling. And part of that has to do with, when you get new managers in and new operators in, there's a learning curve that's associated with it, and learning curves always cost money. That's one thing that I will tell owners all the time. A learning curve is going to cost you money, and it's hard to know where that's going to come in. For us, like the big thing that hit us was on the insurance side of things, we had new people invoicing the insurance company. And so when you send in the invoices and they're wrong, they'll just deny them. They'll just deny all day long. And then you're pretty much, you're done on supplements. And so when you send in a wrong invoice, they deny it, and then that kind of voids your right to supplement because you sent in a final invoice. So we struggled with that, and that cost us quite a bit of money. Whenever you start a business, you don't start with the vision that it will be a failure. You begin with the end in mind. The best athletes playing at the highest levels win in their mind first before they step out onto the field to make the vision a reality. In Roofing 101, the leadership team and myself stepped out onto the field with a vision. Unfortunately, that vision did not become a reality, and we were forced to shut down the business in all locations, leading to over a $2.8 million bankruptcy. For me personally, it was a tough loss, and has been a tough loss. I founded and created Roofing 101 in 2008 with a few $1,000s in the bank. For years, I have seen employees develop into leaders, buy homes, get married, have children, leave and start new careers and businesses. I have memories that I am proud of, too many to list off. I'm very grateful for this treasure. Our focus has been a smooth transition and shutdown, reducing collateral damage to customers, employees, or subcontractors. Bankruptcy is never fun or easy. Fortunately, it has been smooth, and people have been taken care of. Unfortunately, suppliers and banks were not. So here's my advice to whoever is willing to listen. If Continue to encourage entrepreneurs to excel and press boundaries for what is possible. Do not listen to people who are saying things like, "See, I told you so," or "That's just irresponsible," or "That's exactly why I stay small." Tell me, what could you do for the world by staying small or being average? What you agree with in your mind is exactly what will happen. Your motive for the vision is more important than the vision itself. Pressure reveals what is truly inside. And as you grow, there will be pressure. Make sure that what's on the inside is exactly what you want to come out. If it's not, you have work to do before you grow. I'm proud of our team, and I'm proud of Roofing 101. It's a venture that I and many others poured everything into, literally. It was an investment that won't be returned void. I can guarantee that. Our best was not enough in this case, but our best is and always will be required. Thank you.